is standing by. Here's Joel Goldberg.
Well, I'm not lacking in confidence because, I get to sit next to a guy like Paul Splittorff, who was just talking a little bit about what Frank was mentioning as far as Gil Mesh goes. And, he's got 2 straight wins, only going 5 innings in those. But one thing that Bob McClure was talking about with Paul Splittorff and watching Gil Mesh is his delivery. Is he going straight forward? If you start to see him spinning off towards first base, that's what's gotten him in trouble. That's where the ball starts elevating. 3 home runs in the last 2 games. Something to watch from Gil tonight, guys.
All right, Joel. Well, to add to that number, Gil was fantastic early this season, avoiding home runs. Remember, the first one he gave up was overruled. It was an inside-the-park home run against the Angels in Anaheim, but in his first 14 starts, Gil gave up only 2 home runs, so he was really keeping the ball down. But now in his last 7 starts, he has allowed 12 home runs.
And that's a real good indication of being up in the zone. And a lot of it could go back to being up in the zone and behind in the count. So those 2 things, they're factoring the home runs.
Well, he doesn't mess around with Grady Sizemore. 3 pitches, all strikes, and Callaspo throws him out, picking it up with his bare hand. So 1 away. On another cool night for August, 80 degrees at first pitch, and with the wind blowing out of the east, it feels a little cooler than that. Game started at 7:11, and the time and temp brought to you by the parking spot. Easy to spot, easy to park. The parking spot at KCI. And now Asdrubal Cabrera, who is 9th in the league in hitting, batting at .313. And now 4 straight strikes from Gil Mesh in the top of the first. Cabrera was quite a sensation with the Indians a couple of years ago, and the Indians almost made it to the World Series. They were 1 game away, beaten by Boston in the American League Championship Series, and Cabrera was called up from the minor leagues and really gave the team a lift at second base. He fell back last year and had to spend some time at AAA, but that paid off, as he is playing very well at shortstop. He's batting second and batting quite well.
They really like him at shortstop over second base. Even though he did a good job at second base, they really like what he's done at shortstop. And Rick Manning was telling me that he got a little flash to him, but he makes all the plays. And the offense, you just can't say enough about that.
Still no balls, 2 strikes, so 7 pitches, all strikes from Gil Mesh tonight. Gil won on Tuesday at Chicago. He gave up 4 runs in 5 innings. It's interesting, his last 2 starts have been almost identical, allowing 4 runs in 5 innings and relying heavily on the bullpen. Here's his numbers against Chicago, and both times the bullpen did hang on, winning both games 5-4. Pulled to Butler. So 2 ground balls to the right side and 2 down. Well, that sun is getting lower and lower at first pitch every night. In the middle of the summer, that's about where the sun is in the 4th inning.
It's really amazing. In a little over a month from now, the leaves may start turning colors, and fall will be right on us.
And now 0-1 on Shin-Soo Choo.
A short autumn and an early fall. It's hoping to have an early winter because this summer's been just tremendous.
Center field, Mitch Meyer is there, and that's a 10-pitch, all strikes, top of the first for Gil Mesh. series. Brian Pena will be the DH, and he will bat fourth. And John Buck behind the plate tonight with Gil Mesh on the mound. 26-year-old Jeremy Sowers for the Indians. Here's the Kia scouting report.
Right, when you look at the last 5 starts, he got eight homers allowed in the last 15 starts, and that means it's an indication he's getting the ball up and getting behind in the count. But as the innings pile up, then the averages go up, and that's a plus for the Royals if those numbers hold true tonight.
Second time the Royals have faced Sowers this year. 0-1 on to Jesus. So David, whose average has continued to climb, beginning with the final homestand before the All-Star break, then it just kind of stalled out in the 260s. And of course, it's so hard to add points to the average this late in the season, but 6 for 12 against the Twins, and now he can set his sights on getting into the 280s.
Well, he's got a goal, and that's a good goal to have, and that means you're going to get base hits and be on base. You just hope some of those hits are driving runs in rather than leading off innings and not really plating any runs.
Valbuena at second base throws him out. And the rest of the Indians defense with Matt Laporta, Grady Sizemore, and Shin Soo Choo in the outfield. Johnny Peralta as Drupal Cabrera, Jose Valbuena, and Andy Marte at first base. Kelly Shopik behind the plate. And Shopik now the primary catcher for Cleveland, with Victor Martinez traded to the Red Sox. One ball, one strike to Willie Bloomquist, who has an 8-game hitting streak coming in tonight. And his average up to 260. You know, just when you think Willie's knees are bothering him and maybe all the playing time this year is wearing him down and his average begins to fade, he gets on another hot streak. Trying to prove this year that he's an everyday Major League player.
That's tough after you get 30 years old, and I think just being able to get a couple of days off here and there really helps Willie. I think coming into the season, you probably looked at maybe 3, maybe 4 games a week, but he's really pushed the envelope this season.
Grady Sizemore runs it down, 2 away in the bottom of the first inning. So Billy Butler comes up with nobody on base. 2 hits for Billy yesterday. Finished with 5 hits in the Minnesota series, including his 15th home run of the year. So Billy right at 300. Billy and the Royals faced Jeremy Sowers on June the 11th. Sowers went 5 innings, gave up 2 runs. The Indians won that game in 10 innings. Line to Shin Soo Choo had the game-winning hit that night in Cleveland, and the Royals are down 1-2-3. Tourism. Plan your summer vacation at Colorado.com. So both pitchers with quick innings. Gil Mesh knocking down the first 3 Indians in the first inning on 10 straight strikes, and now 11 in a row. And Peralta drives it into center field. That's off of Mitch Meyer's glove. Peralta to second. We'll see how they score it. I don't know if Mitch would have had a chance to throw out Peralta either way. So he's at second base with nobody out.
Where he gets a fastball, and Peralta likes the ball up, and this pitch was really down, but he was able to get the good part of the bat on it. And that's one of those balls right there, Ryan. You never know until you catch it. The ball hit off Mitch's heel, and if he catches it solid, at least there's a play at second base.
It'll be ruled a double. So runner at second base for Travis Hafner. Well, Hafner's job, I think, even when you're a power hitter, is to try and get something to the right side and advance the runner from second to third, and that's exactly what the Royals are expecting. They have 3 infielders over on the right side.
Well, he's got a good eye. That one swing didn't look real good. I mean, he really had some problems after that swing. He was kind of flexing both shoulders, just as almost like he overextended himself on that high fastball.
That's the first pitch out of the strike zone from Mesh all night. 10 straight strikes in the first, and then his first 2 in this inning. Well, Hafner had big shoulder problems last year. Dealt with a sore right shoulder all of last season, then had surgery during the offseason, and then went back on the DL this year with shoulder problems. That was in April. Iaspo has to come in from right field to throw him out, so Hafner does get Peralta over to third. 1 away. Saturday afternoons were made for baseball, and this week Fox brings you the national game of the week as the Mets battle Alfonso Soriano and the Cubs looking to gain ground in the National League wild card. Fox Saturday Baseball this week at 3 p.m. on Fox. And now Luis Valbuena. And the Royals will bring the infield in halfway with Peralta at third base. Ball 1 outside. Valbuena was the hero 2 days ago on Saturday in Cleveland against the Mariners. He had a walk-off home run. Two and 0.
Well, he should be looking for something here, Ryan, to drive to the outfield, something up in the zone, and try to stay away from the ground ball. Gil should be trying to figure out a pitch that he can throw to try to induce a ground ball here.
Over through that pitch, 3 and 0.
But if you watch right here, Ryan, now watch how he doesn't take that straight line to the plate. He just sort of spins right out and ends up on the other side of the rubber, the first base side of the rubber. So he needs to stay on line and stay out over that front side.
Valbuena swinging on 3 and 0. On one of the trips that Cleveland had here in Kansas City earlier this year, Valbuena bowling over Miguel Olivo, and they were roommates at one time in the Seattle Mariners organization. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and Valbuena's not a big guy, but he plays like a big guy and knocked over a big guy in Miguel Olivo, and I don't think Miguel was expecting the middle infielder to charge into him like he did that night.
It's all about momentum at that point. You got a guy that's coming down 90 feet full speed, and Miguel squared up, and he has no momentum. He just got to absorb whatever comes, and that speed and power overcame stationary strength and power, and that's when Miguel went back on his backside on that one. I think Valbuena had a little cut on his chin from a face mask or something like that, but well, that's baseball. I think that's what fans like to see too.
So a walk to Valbuena, and that sets up a potential ground ball double play, although Alberto Callaspo pulled to the middle, and that leaves a big hole on the right side for Kelly Shopik.
That's be an interesting double play if the ball's hit just to the left of shortstop, and Alberto's got to go over and backhand. That's a long way for Betancourt to get over.
Well, there is playing it by the book. And if you're going by the book here, you just have your infielders at normal double play depth. And then there's playing by the hitting charts. And the Royals are convinced that Shopik is going to pull the ball.
Well, you always want to have yourself in a position where you get the double play. That's the big thing in this situation. Here you could be saying, okay, if he hits the ball somewhere else, we'll give him the one run long as we can get it out. But the whole idea is to get the double play.
Shopik is 0 for his last 13. That's a struggling hitter up there. And the cutter is outside, and the count is 2-0.
Yeah, one of the big things a lot of times is over swinging. You know, you're replacing a guy like Victor Martinez, who's off to a great start, and Shopik last year had an outstanding year with the Indians, and you started to repeat last year. You know, you almost pretty much have to come in and start all over again and just be yourself. And now that Martinez is gone, don't try to make up for what he was doing. Just do what you can do.
Shallow center field. Meyer makes the play. Peralta to the plate. And the throw got him. Well, it took a few bounces to get there, but get there it did. And John Buck tags out Peralta, and Gil Mesh and the Royals get a double play to get out at the top of the second inning.
Mitch Meyer, he went back out, got behind this fly ball, and it's very rare you see a guy throwing to the plate on two hops, especially when the first hop is before the mound. But Mitch made an accurate throw. John Buck did a good job getting his foot in there and keeping Peralta off the base.
So he ties David DeJesus for the team lead in outfield assists, gunning down Johnny Peralta. And now the Royals back to work at the plate after Jeremy Sowers knocked them down in order in the first inning. Brian Pena is the Royals cleanup man tonight. He had only one hit in the Minnesota series, but what a big hit that was on Friday night with 2 outs and 2 strikes in the bottom of the ninth against Joe Nathan to tie the game. Minnesota ended up winning in 10 innings. Brian also laid down a couple of sacrifice bunts. 2 balls, 1 strike.
But Sowers is not going to overpower the Royals. The right-hand hitter is really going to have to make a concerted effort to try to hit the ball back through the middle of the right field, and the lefties the other way. 'Cause he's going to give you something to hit. You just got to be patient enough and do something with it when you get it.
Trey Hillman saying before the game that Brian's one of those guys that he trusts is not going to change his game just because he's the number 4 hitter. And there are a lot of young players. You bat them number 4, they feel like they have to do something other than what got them there in the first place. Indians had him played perfect with Valbuena guarding the middle. So 1 down in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Tonight's You Call It, presented by Sprint. Which 2004 first-round pick will have the best career? Justin Verlander, who's been Rookie of the Year for the Tigers. Jeremy Sowers out of Vanderbilt. Billy Butler, drafted out of high school. And Glenn Perkins, who went to a world-renowned academic and athletic institution. Text 432-432. Enter keyword Royals. A space followed by A, B, C, or D. Standard text rates apply. A hop on Peralta. The throw is high, but Marte reaches up to save it. So Callaspo is the second out of the 2nd inning. We could have added Josh Fields to that list with a player representing every team in the Central, but Josh Fields, who is expected to take over at third base this year for the White Sox, is currently in the minor leagues. So 2 down to Mark Teahen. 4 out of 13 in the Minnesota series. This has not been a good matchup for Teahen. He is 0 for 8 against Jeremy Sowers. And typically when a left-hand pitcher is on the mound, you think huge advantage against left-handed batters, but Jeremy Sowers is one of those rare guys, at least by the numbers. He really doesn't have one advantage over the other. In fact, look at this. Exactly the same. 263 against lefties, 263 against righties.
I think lefties just get themselves out. That swing there, previous swing by Mark Teahen, was trying to pull the ball. Basically, you just got to stay with his game plan. Stay back up the middle. He's not going to throw the ball by you unless you let him.
Now, how could Mark do that to you?
He's just trying to do too much. He's trying to hit it too far.
Doesn't he know who you are?
I think he needs to understand who's on the mound. Right on cue, Mark. Way to go.
On the corner. So Teahen 0 for 9 now against Sowers, who has retired the first 6 tonight.
I don't want to say here because I might get in trouble, but I am a baseball fan for sure.
Good, good. Well, world record holder in the 50 meters and
American record holder in 50 meters. But yes.
Well, here I was trying to give you credit for something there.
You know what? I'll take it.
Okay. All right. I always like asking other athletes when they watch baseball, because baseball is such a unique sport as far as the timing and the pace. And
Absolutely.
I think anyone who's ever been in a pool, and I'm one of them, realize how difficult swimming is and how much what good a shape you have to be in to be a swimmer, let alone an Olympic swimmer. But what do you think when you watch the pace of a baseball game?
It's not necessarily the pace. I really think about the strategy that goes into it. Sometimes I've thrown the first pitch a couple of times, and that's a far, far distance to be throwing a ball, I'm telling you. And the last thing you want to do is be part of the skip the ball crew. It's a lot of precision, a lot of accuracy, and I'm telling you, when the ball's coming at you at 94 miles an hour, I don't know how you can hit that ball. So I give them all the credit in the world.
Leadoff single for Matt Laporta. And Cullen is in town to promote the Make a Splash program. Tell us about it.
Make a Splash initiative is something that's very close to my heart. I almost drowned when I was 5 years old, and I know that I could have been part of the statistic that I'm trying to fight. African Americans and Hispanics are 3 times more likely to drown than any other race, and it's a big problem. So I'm traveling all over the U.S. working with the Make a Splash initiative, and with the help of ConocoPhillips, we've been helping to give lessons to different groups of kids all over the U.S.
Now, why is that demographic one that is susceptible to so many swimming fatalities?
I've been asked that for the past 3 years since I've been professional, and the thing that I actually came up with is a large part of it is parents don't know how to swim, and they kind of just don't really push their kids to learn, and they'd rather tell them to stay away from the water than to learn how to swim. And in my situation, my mom wanted to give me all the tools possible, so she got me the lessons, and that's kind of the cure to drowning.
Well, that happened. I mean, that was the way it was with me too. In our local parks here, you had this one big community swimming pool, but that's where I went and got my first lessons to swim. And then in junior high school, we had swimming in junior high school. We learned to swim there too. So I can swim a little bit. No,
you can save yourself.
I can actually swim, but it just depends on how far I have to go.
Well, in sports, we talk so often about the great moments that you dream about when you're a kid. Maybe winning a game with a home run or a touchdown or a slam dunk or whatever. What was it like on the podium and your anthem is being played? Well, let's get a double play off the bat of Andy Marte, so 2 down, nobody on.
It was the most amazing moment ever. I couldn't have asked for any better. Just the way that we were able to finish that race, that we were counted out and not expected to win. The true underdogs, and I feel like America loves to be the true underdogs, and this is a perfect tale of that. We touched the wall, and a lot of people were like, "Where's Cullen? Where's Cullen?" I couldn't breathe because I was just out of breath, and I'm on the side and I'm jumping up and down. I run over to Michael and everyone, and we're just like screaming out of our heads because we just really didn't expect it to end the way that it did.
But what's a normal swim day when you end up at the Olympics and you're getting ready for your meets? You have to go out early. I know basketball has shoot-arounds, and baseball players, they come out at 3 in the afternoon and go through their process. What's a day like for you?
A day like for a Olympic caliber swimmer, we have 5:30 practice in the morning. Yeah, it's not fun at all. And then we lift, and we also have practice in the afternoons.
So weightlifting is a big part of it.
It's a huge part.
Well, Cullen, as it always works in baseball, if you do more of these, anytime you go in the booth, the inning goes by just like that. But is there a website we can pass along?
Definitely. For the program, it's the makeasplash.org, and it can set you up with any program that you want to go to all over the U.S. if you need to find some kind of drowning prevention or just learning how to swim.
Thanks, Cullen.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for stopping by. Cullen Jones.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Olympic gold medalist. No score to the bottom of the third inning, and John Buck getting ready to face Jeremy Sowers, but home plate umpire Fielden Colbreth wants to inspect the baseball, make sure it's not scarred or blemished before the inning begins. 2 perfect innings so far for Sowers with 1 strikeout. And it'll be John Buck, Mitch Meyer, and Unievsky Betancourt in the bottom of the third inning. Oh, and 1 on Buck. Tonight's Roadrunner Turbo speed pitch comparison. Gil Mesh hit 94 in his first 2 innings. Sowers at 89. You can double your speed with Roadrunner Turbo from Time Warner Cable. No balls, 2 strikes to John Buck. Well, he had to rush through, unfortunately, the interview with Colin Jones, as it always happens. You have a guest in the booth and the inning just flies by, but the website was makeasplash.org. So on one hand, we'd like to have him here longer in the booth, but on the other hand, he'd probably like to watch some baseball, and he's watching it tonight from the Buck O'Neil Legacy seat.
And one thing he really liked is the strategy of the game. And I think a lot of people that come to baseball, that's why they like baseball, is because of the strategy and guessing with the manager.
Currently holds the world record in the 50-meter freestyle. At least that's what it says here on the script, and that's how I introduced him, but he corrected me and said he has the American record. So here we tried to give him the world record, and he wouldn't take it. I tell you, I learned a lot about the difficulty of swimming as a sport when I was in college. I remember those swimmers would have those big parkas on. They'd be up at 5 or 6 every morning to head to the pool, and that was before going to class, and then back to practice again after class. Buck breaks his bat, and Valbuena throws him out. So that's 7 in a row retired by Sowers to begin the game.
It was interesting how he said weightlifting is a big part of what they do. And that's where the endurance comes from and the strength. But when you look at him, he's not bulky. I mean, so obviously they're training for straight, strong muscles rather than bulky muscles. Plus, he was touching the roof in the booth.
Yeah, swimmers are big guys. I mean, they are tall, they're lean, obviously very strong. You know who was an outstanding swimmer, and we didn't talk about this a lot when he was a Royal, but Kyle Snyder was a very good swimmer when he was in high school. And Kyle was, 6'6", 6'7"? One and one to Mitch Meyer, facing Jeremy Sowers for the first time. Talking to Mitch before the game tonight, he's kind of changed his stance recently, more of a wider base, trying to incorporate more legs into his swing, and feeling like he was losing his legs when he was standing upright, and there was very little flex. So Kevin Seitzer has gotten him to widen out a little bit, give him more of a base, and more drive from the legs, hopefully more extra base hits.
Well, they're just looking to increase his bat speed, and if you increase the bat speed, then you're going to increase the power production. And the size Mitch is, he should be able to drive the ball a lot better than he has.
Still 3-2.
Now, one of the things about a hitter is just getting that front foot down. If they don't get that front foot down in time, it's hard to generate any bat speed. If it's coming down at the same time your swing is coming, then you're going to lose bat speed that way also. So it's got to hit first, and then the bat comes second.
Mitch has never really had a big home run season in the minor leagues. Twice he's hit 14. And coming up in left field to make a sliding catch is Laporta. So trying to concentrate on the ball, but at the same time trying to avoid a collision with Peralta and Cabrera going out.
Well, you could tell by the way Peralta and Cabrera reacted that he really just took charge of that fly ball just that's what you want your outfielders to do. You'd rather have him come in and try to make a play like that than have these infielders going in and trying to make catches over their shoulder. It was amazing how both the infielders pulled up at the same time.
Laporta coming over to the Indians last year in the CC Sabathia trade, former first-round pick of the Milwaukee Brewers. Jeremy Sowers, a former first-round pick of the Indians in 2004. A couple of years before that, he was a first-round pick of the Cincinnati Reds. He is an Ohio native from St. Clairsville and has been drafted in the first round by both Ohio teams. After he was drafted out of high school, instead he went to Vanderbilt, where he majored in political science. He is one of the subjects of tonight's You Call It, presented by Sprint, which 04 first-round pick will have a better career. And right now, 67% going with Billy Butler, who came in tonight hitting 341 doubles, second in the league. And if Glenn Perkins doesn't have a great career, he can always fall back on his education. Betancourt into right field, and that's 3 perfect innings for Jeremy Sowers. No score at the end of 3. And Frank, that is?
Well,
as Drupal Cabrera singles to right. Not only did I catch Frank off guard, I caught the guys in the truck off guard. So Frank, that is.
That's this.
Frank just showed me a white sheet where he had written in pencil on the back moon. I know that, but you're the moon specialist. I mean, what?
That's a crescent. That's a waxing crescent moon.
Okay.
I didn't throw a gibbous in there.
Because it's not a gibbous.
You've heard of crescent moon before, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I gotta look at my watch. It's right on.
Want to know on Shin Soo Choo. When the Royals and Indians played in early June, that was the last time they've seen one another. Shin-Soo Choo had that game-winning hit in the final game of the series in the 10th inning off the Seagull. That was his only hit of the series. Under Butler's glove, that ball is hit hard. So Choo reaches, and Cabrera goes first to third. And that'll be ruled a base hit.
Well, when you hold a man on first base, you get a rocket like that, you can only hope to get in front of it and try to knock it down. Billy chose to get to the side on it, but this is a ball here where you just, as a first baseman, you want to try to do everything you can to just knock it down. But it is hit hard.
And what Gilmesh needs now is what he's gotten in the second and third innings, a double play. Mitch Meyer catching a fly ball in center from Kelly Shopik in the second inning and throwing out Johnny Peralta, who bats now. 0-1 the count. And Andy Marte, after a leadoff single in the third inning, grounded into a double play. One and one. Well, you might be familiar with the batting stance guy. Can you guess the stance? The answer will be in tonight's Royals Live with Joel. Here's a hint. 1 ball, 2 strikes. There are several ways to give hints. You can give it verbally. Perhaps the hint is visual.
Yeah. I was waiting on it.
Would you like another hint?
No.
Okay.
You'd probably say something like hint, hint.
2-2 on Peralta. Peralta doubled leading off the second inning, went to third on Travis Hafner's ground ball. And then after a walk to Valbuena, thrown out at the plate by Mitch Meyer. On the corner. Now Peralta has a few words for home plate umpire Field and Colbreth before heading back to the dugout. Gill strikes out his first.
Well, they can't really argue about this pitch. This pitch is right on the corner. Way too close to take. It was a nice little cutter right on the outside corner.
Something that Gilmesh has complained about as far as throwing the ball since coming back from the disabled list has just talked about how he has felt like he is forcing the ball, that the ball is just not coming out of his hand with the normal velocity and movement. Good velocity tonight, good movement on that cutter.
Well, the velocity's up 94, 95. That's pretty good working range for Gill. It just matters whether it's up or down in the zone.
And ball one on Travis Hafner. Grounded out, but it was a productive out in the second inning, moving a runner to third. Not as dramatic of a shift this time, with the Royals hoping to turn a double play on a ground ball. That pitch crossed up John Buck, 2 balls, no strikes. When Hafner batted in the second inning, Callaspo fielding the ground ball in shallow right field.
Well, the Royals will really be hoping for a pitch that they got the ground ball last time. Right there, John Buck just overreached for a fastball up, and is lucky that ball didn't hit him on the wrist. We saw one off of Miguel Olivo's glove like that went up and hit that thumb, and sometimes you turn that thumb over and get that thumb injury, and that's what catchers hate that to happen.
Three balls, no strikes. So Hafner with great power. He has just 12 home runs this year, but most likely has the green light. So even though the count is 3-0, Mesh has to be careful with this next pitch. Cabrera's at third base, Chu at first, 1 out. And Hafner is swinging and drives it to deep center, and all Mitch Meyer can do is watch it sail into the party porch. So there's your green light. And Hafner goes speeding through the intersection and drives in 3.
You know, if you got to hit 3-0, Ryan, you might as well wait for your pitch. Mill land out over the plate, and he got real good extension on this ball. He stayed back on his backside, and this is the kind of power that the Indians want to see more of from Hafner. This is how he was before he got hurt, and he has a good eye, works a good pitch, and then be able to put a good swing on it.
And ball 1 on Valbuena, who walked his first time up. So home runs continue to be an issue for Gill. That's 13 home runs in his last 7+ starts. Gill had only given up 2 home runs in his first 14 starts. One ball, 2 strikes. It's been almost 2 years since Travis Hafner has homered against the Royals. Missed a big chunk of last year with the right shoulder problems. Two and 2. Hafner back in 2006 got on quite a grand slam tear. He had 6 in 1 year, and 5 of those before the All-Star break. 3 balls, 2 strikes on Valbuena. And that's hit hard to center field. Meyer was playing shallow, so a long run to the warning track, makes a catch and slams into the wall and stays on his feet.
You know, it's always one of those things when you hit that warning track, you know how many steps you have before you hit the wall, but Mitch never looked at the wall. He kept his eye trained right on that ball and just didn't even worry about the wall until after he made the catch. So that was great concentration on his part.
There's an example there of some home field advantage when you know how big your warning track is. And, you know, right before he hit the wall, he was able to brace himself with his right arm, which helped a little bit because he was going full speed. And even though the wall is padded, when you're running that hard, it still hurts.
It really does. And you just got to know how many steps before you hit the wall. And as long as you know that and you go from grass to that, then you know how much you got. So he really had measured out just perfectly on that one.
And now 2-0 on Kelly Shopik, who flied into the double play to end the second inning, flying out to Meyer, who threw out Peralta at the plate. So Shopik is now 0 for his last 14. Now 3-0. Well, Frank was talking about Shopik last year, and he got a lot of playing time with Victor Martinez on the disabled list and took full advantage. 1 year ago today, he had 5 more home runs. He had 8 more RBIs, ended up with a career high 21 home runs. It has fallen off quite a bit this year, batting just over 200. And with 2 outs, he walks, and that's Gill's second walk tonight. In College Nights offers $7 lower level seats to every Wednesday Kauffman Stadium game. High school and college students with a valid student ID can take advantage of a great ticket offer. Plus, coming up this Wednesday, which is an afternoon game, happy hour with concession specials in the outfield experience. 0-1 on a foul ball to Matt Laporta. Laporta singled leading off the third inning and then was erased on an Andy Marte ground ball double play. So 2 years in a row, the Indians have traded away a reigning Cy Young winner. Last year it was CC Sabathia to the Brewers. And the centerpiece of that deal, at least coming from Milwaukee, was Matt Laporta, who was taken in the first round by the Brewers in 2007. Gill with 3 very efficient innings to begin the game. Only 8 pitches in the third, but now 24 in this inning. So his pitch total matches the number on his jersey. Only 4 times in Major League history has a reigning Cy Young winner been traded before midseason the following year. Only 4 times ever, and the Indians have done exactly that in the last 2 years. With Cliff Lee going this year to the Philadelphia Phillies, and both of those lefties are pitching very well. I think what Cliff Lee hasn't lost yet for Philadelphia. Sabathia has won 15 games.
That's 20 probably. He's really coming up on 20 wins. He was really good his last time out.
The other 2, David Cohn, who actually won the Cy Young here and then was traded to the Mets. And before that, Frank Viola won a Cy Young with Minnesota, and the next year was also traded to the Mets. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
One thing about Laporta, they say the one thing that gets him in trouble is that sometimes his swing can get real long, and that just makes you real susceptible to chasing the ball down and away, and a fastball up and in can get you too. They just been working with him, trying to get him to shorten his swing a lot more.
Shopik will be taking off at first base, so Butler plays behind him. And hit hard to right, but Bloomquist is right there. Inning over, but the Indians take a 3-0 lead on Travis Hafner's 13th home run of the year. Big 12 football returns to Fox Sports Kansas City in September. KU, K-State, Mizzou, and Nebraska are all on Fox Sports Kansas City as we're going to televise 18 games in HD, weekly preview shows, classics, replays, and more. Big 12 football all season long on Fox Sports Kansas City. So second time through the order, David DeJesus hacking away. David grounded out to second base in the first inning. So 9 up, 9 down against Sowers in the first 3 innings. One and one. Two and one. Well, we've been talking, Frank, about how, David hardly ever bunts, but teams still play him as if he's going to bunt. David has 1 bunt base hit, and now the Indians dugout, after 3 pitches, feel like he's not going to bunt, so Peralta is going to back off. And I asked David about that before the game tonight and said, this isn't a question just directed to you, but most leadoff hitters in the American League, how come you don't bunt more? I mean, a lot of times there is a base hit just asking to be had out there, and David says, I just feel more comfortable swinging the bat than I do laying one down.
It's less work. It's less work to go up there and swing the bat and try to hit the ball than try to place a bunt right where you want it. I mean, he showed himself he can do it on the last road trip, but it's just a matter of just taking advantage of what the defense is giving you. And they must have a false scouting report on David. I mean, he's leading off. He's got the body of a leadoff guy, but he doesn't have the type of speed. So I don't know why they sacrifice so much so soon early in the count.
Swinging away, gets the Royals' first base runner tonight. So the string is snapped, and DeJesus at first with nobody out.
Well, he definitely feels comfortable swinging, Ryan, especially the way he's swinging right now, because he's staying on the ball and he's driving balls in the middle to the other way, and that's why his batting average is slowly climbing. He's not trying to do too much at the plate. But I still agree with you. He still should bunt a little bit more.
Well, he and I were talking about during the Minnesota series. Remember at one point Joe Creedy was way in on the grass, and we were thinking, where'd that scouting report come from? Because, they were playing David like he was Kenny Lofton or Brett Butler or someone like that.
And that could have easily been a result of the base hit bunt he got on the last road trip. They have advanced scouts watching the games, and they might say, hey, this DeJesus guy's bunt a little bit more, so they wanted to come in and force him to swing the bat.
David says that his hitting routine is so specific that when he gets up to the plate, one of the things that he does not do is always check and see where the third baseman is. And one of the reasons is because most of them play him in the same place. Just right around the edge of the grass. It's 1-1 on Willie Bloomquist.
But I think you always have to be aware of your surroundings. I think you still have to be able, before you get in the box, you should always know where everybody's playing. Because once you hit the ball, it tells you how difficult the play's going to be for the fielder and what your chances are of getting a base hit.
Didn't go. 2 balls, 1 strike. Well, I can see, too, if you handle the bat well, and, David's having an off year, but he's swinging the bat well now. He's swinging like David typically does since the All-Star break. But I could see where a hitter goes up there, and they think about bunting, and they foul a pitch away, and it's a strike, and they probably think to themselves, man, why did I try and bunt that pitch? If I would have swung at that pitch,
you might have fouled it off. But there's a reason to bunt. Whenever I tried to bunt and say it was a ball, then I'd always take another peek down at the third baseman, not right away, but in the middle of my check swings, and see if he's going to come in a little bit. And if he comes in a little bit, then that gives me a better chance of hitting the ball by him. But if he doesn't come in, then I'll try to bunt again. So it's all about just playing the game. But it's more work to bunt than it is to try to swing and hit the ball.
Still 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, if you go up and down the Central Division, first place Detroit, Curtis Granderson never bunts.
No.
That's a guy who has great speed, leadoff guy, very good hitter, hits for power. Brady Sizemore does not have a single bunt hit this year. Same type guy. I mean, he's having an off year, but he's hurt. He has a couple of sac bunts. Hits for a lot of power. Who knows, maybe one day Granderson and Sizemore are number 3 hitters rather than leadoff hitters. Bloomquist into right. And Shin-Soo Choo takes care of it. So to Jesus at first with 1 out. Billy Butler coming up, and he leads us into tonight's league leaders, brought to you by your Kansas City area Toyota dealers. Since 2007, Billy Butler has the 4th best batting average against lefties. Jason Bartlett very good against lefties. Derek Jeter is the leader this year. He's having an out of sight year against left-hand pitching, hitting .434. Alberto Callaspo this year is 3rd in the league, but going back to 2007, Billy Butler is the 4th best in the American League. A strike on Billy. Now Scott Podsednik is more of that type of a hitter, leadoff for Chicago, so he will bunt quite a bit. And Denard Span is bunting more this year, but that really wasn't part of his game. That's something he's tried to add to his game. So you're only talking about 2 of the 5 leadoff hitters in the American League Central that you can really feel like you need to defend against the bunt.
And that makes it easy to play defense when you don't have to worry about that. And you go back, back in the 70s, 80s, I mean, everybody had leadoff guys that took advantage of the bunt. You had to play him. Willie didn't bunt a lot, but he could. You had Ricky Henderson bunted, Willie McGee, Otis Nixon, and you can go right on down the line of guys who were leadoff hitters that not only stole bases, but also could bunt for base hits.
One and two. DeJesus has not seen a throw over to first base from Jeremy Sowers. David has stolen 4 this year. He's been thrown out 7 times. Two balls, 2 strikes.
Well, normally when a guy is quick to the plate, a lefty, or he's herky-jerky like Sowers is, a lot of times you just go first move. And I think but David, not having that type of speed, Trey Hillman probably rather see Billy Butler try to hit a double right here and get this run in.
Pulls it to short. Out at second base, and the Indians turn a double play, and the Royals, with a leadoff single, end up only sending 3 to the plate against Sowers. hit a 3-run home run, and once again the long ball hurting Gil Mesh.
Well, just getting behind Ryan. That was a 3-0 pitch, and hit it right in his wheelhouse, and he drove it to center field. I mean, Mitch didn't hardly have to move on that play. But right now, it's Sowers. He's done a good job mixing his pitches, pitching both sides of the plate. Got the right-handed hitters hitting the ball out front on the ground, and they just have to go back to just waiting a little bit longer and getting better pitches hit and go the other way.
Sowers has faced the minimum thanks to the double play in the bottom of the fourth. It'll be Andy Marte, Grady Sizemore, and Asdrubal Cabrera in the fifth. And Marte lifts it to right. Bloomquist hardly has to move. One down. Marte is 0 for 2. Gil Mesh's pitch count brought to you by James B. Nutter and Company. 62 pitches, and a big chunk of that coming in the fourth inning when Gil threw 28. Other than that, pretty efficient in the first 3 innings. Gil has walked 2 and struck out 1. And now Grady Sizemore, who is grounded out and fouled out. Well, there we go. Sizemore lays one down. Maybe he was inside listening to our conversation. So Sizemore is 0 for 3. Now that's the type of bunt and situation that I wonder about, Frank. Does Grady Sizemore now go back to the dugout? Does he say, well, right idea, just didn't make a good bunt? Or does he say to himself, man, what a waste of an at-bat?
Well, I don't think so. I think he looks at the score. They're up 3-0, and I think he's looking to get on base. And it was, like you say, it was just a bad bunt. He didn't get it down the line, the third base line, like he wanted. But it's something that if he goes out and practice and make it part of his game, it's just going to make him that much more valuable as a player.
But I'm thinking from his point of view. I mean, does he say to himself, now why do I go out and practice that? Look, I just gave an at-bat away.
Well, I mean, you hit a ground ball to first, ground ball to second, you're giving it away too. I mean, it's just a matter of what the defense is giving you and what you're trying to take advantage of at that point. It's all about incorporating your game and making yourself more of a rounded player rather than always have to swing away and get a base hit. Now you can take advantage of the third baseman, but like I say, you have to practice. It's not something that's going to show up and work for you when you want it to work. You got to practice and make it part of your game.
Got to see the big picture.
Got to see the big picture. I mean, and he knows he's not swinging the bat as well as he has in the past, and he just basically doing whatever you can to get on base.
Cabrera singled leading off the fourth inning and then scored on Travis Hafner's 3-run home run. He is 1 for 2 tonight. 1 for 3 as Gil hits the inside corner, strikes out his second, and retires the Indians in order. Light Lime, the drinkability of Bud Light with the refreshing taste of lime. So Jeremy Sowers has faced the minimum through 4. He retired the first 9. David DeJesus singled leading off the 4th inning, but with 1 out, Billy Butler grounded into a double play. So Brian Pena leads off and takes strike 1. Brian out in a ground ball to second base in the 2nd inning. One ball, one strike. Jeremy Sowers, drafted out of Vanderbilt. He has a twin brother named Josh who went to Yale. So imagine those discussions during the holidays around the family dinner table. They're twins, but Josh is a right-hand thrower who spent some time in the Toronto Blue Jays organization. And as the story goes, when they were growing up, they were more interested in playing chess than they were baseball, but both ended up being professional baseball players. And Sowers picked a bad time to walk his first. Leadoff man Brian Pena in the bottom of the 5th inning. Radio Shack presents What Do You Know? And the Royals hitting .272 at home and quite a drop-off on the road. That's the 3rd largest difference in the American League. And maybe the explanation for that, Frank, is that Kauffman Stadium is such a big ballpark that the big gaps and all the room in between the outfielders and the infielders is better suited for a team that doesn't have a lot of power.
Well, that's true, and I think that a lot of it too, Ryan, is that your preparation at home is a little bit better also.
Iaspo down towards the corner, cut off by Chu, who has a great arm and makes a good play, holding Iaspo to a single. Pena goes first to third.
Earlier he got Iaspo out front. He hit a ground ball. Now he stays right behind this ball. And this is how you have to approach Sowers, because this way he's going to stay off. He's going to stay off speed. He's going to stay out away from you. And he did a real good job. And Chu did an outstanding job playing this. This ball was slicing toward the foul line. He did a good job getting over there and keeping Iaspo to a single.
You're talking about the better preparation at home than on the road. Is that just because there's more time?
Yeah, more time. You get about 45 minutes on the field for BP, and everything is done down in the tunnels. Here you can get on the field, do a little bit more work, and I think that has a lot to do with it also.
Ball 1 to Mark Tien. Struck out looking in the 2nd inning. Sowers' only strikeout. And by striking out, Tien is 0 for 9 in career at-bats against Sowers. Trying to avoid a ground ball and a double play. And he lines it to left field. The Royals are on the board. So Pena scores. Tien drives in his 42nd.
See, I wasn't going to say anything about Mark this at bats. and he did exactly what I was thinking. Just let the ball travel, stay behind it, and go back to where you have your success, and that's that way for him. And that was a good piece of hitting right there.
So Tien's first ever hit against Sowers. First and second, nobody out for John Buck. And Brian Pena has a big smile on his face. What else is new?
Well, that comes from having a good at bat. You worked a nice walk and came around to score. That's almost like a free run.
John Buck grounded out to second base in the 3rd inning. The Indians are ready for a bunt. And they aren't going to get it on this pitch, and Buck had a pretty good swipe at it. Well, remember we showed you at the beginning of the game, the deeper you get into the game against Jeremy Sowers, the bigger numbers he gives up.
Yeah, that's what Eric Wedge is going to have to pay attention to as he goes deeper into this game the third time around. And I think that's an important number, too. I think that just speaks well of when you know your pitch is starting to lose it. You know, that could be just as valuable to you as a pitch count.
And Sowers is not a power guy. He's going to rely more on finesse and location. There isn't really one pitch that's going to scare a hitter, so third time through, you got a pretty good idea of how the ball's coming out of his hand.
Well, you've seen pretty much everything, and you know he's not going to overpower you with the fastball. You just got to stay back and don't try to. He realizes you're getting yourself out by overswinging. John just got to slow it down and go back the other way.
Reaching and drives it into left center field. Iasco scores easily. Here comes Tian. And John Buck ties the game with a double.
You know, the first swing he took, he just really let it go and fouled the ball off. Here, he just got out front on and just stayed back and just used his hands. He didn't get a chance to really overswing on this ball. But the good thing is he made that adjustment, Ryan, with his body and kept his hands back and just used his hands to hit this ball.
That's the type of swing, I imagine, Frank, that a hitting coach wants a player to have burned in his memory to show that you don't have to go up there and just wail away at it and swing as hard as you can. Use the hands and the barrel of the bat, you can still hit for power.
I mean, if you get it on the sweet spot of the bat and you just trust your hands to work for you, that'll happen. On the first pitch of that at bat, you really let it go and hit a foul ball, and that pulls you off pitches. So you know he's not going to overpower you. You know he's going to be around the plate. You just got to stay back and trust your hands to work. And he was able to recognize that off-speed pitch, stop his body, and then use his hands to hit the double.
So now Mitch Meyer will try and get Buck over to third base. Flied out to left field in the third inning. Matt Laporta made a sliding play, and Meyer already showing bunt and gets it down towards third. Excellent bunt. So he forces Peralta to make the play, and that makes it easy for Buck to move up to third.
Well, Mitch gave it away early and just waited for his pitch. He stayed right out there. He didn't even leap before the bunt is made. He stayed there, gave himself up, and then he ran. A lot of times they'll get in trouble when they start trying to bunt for a base hit and running and bunting at the same time. But he really sacrificed all the way. He did everything perfect on that sacrifice bunt.
You know, and it's worth noting, too, the way Mitch hung in there. Remember, it was against the Indians last year against a left-hand pitcher, Zach Jackson, when he got hit in the face. But showing no fear, squaring around early, getting into a good bunting position, and now the Royals have the go-ahead run at third base with one out, and the Indians bring the infield in against Betancourt. He pulls it past third base coach Dave Owen. Our next Independence Honda Buck Night and Hy-Vee Pepsi Fireworks Friday is Friday, September the 4th. That's the Royals and the Angels at 7:10. Gates are going to open at 5, so you can start the weekend early. So dollar Pepsis, hot dogs, peanuts, and game day magazines for the fireworks spectacular after the game. You know, that was a big question. When you get hit in the face the way Mitch did, you wonder how a guy's going to come back. Chu has a great arm. This is going to be a long throw from right, and he lollipops it all the way to Sowers. So if Buck was running to Sowers, he would have been out. Royals take a 4-3 lead. Pretty good baseball there. 2-run double, a sac bunt, and a sac fly to take the lead.
Well, this is the only time that what you did is acceptable here, Ryan. There's no runners to take extra bases, so he can really air it out on this play, and the chances of getting it from that deep are very slim anyway. But that's always acceptable for a manager.
Betancourt with his 35th RBI. So a 4-run fifth. And now the Royals beginning that third time to the order against Sowers. Ball one on David DeJesus. Singled his last time. He's also grounded out to second base. Two and 0. So Gil Mesh, when he took a seat in that spot before this inning began, he was down 3-0, giving up the home run to Travis Hafner in the fourth. But he'll take the mound in the sixth with the lead. 3-0. Three balls, one strike on to Jesus. So David has added a point tonight, going 1 for 2. He's hit in 6 straight games and is at 271. And takes a 2-out walk. Well, Sowers has walked 2, both in this inning. In fact, this inning began with a walk to Brian Pena. Tian driving in a run, Buck 2 with a double, and Betancourt driving in a run with a sac fly. The Royals still working with 2 outs in the 5th inning, and they would love to put a big number on the scoreboard after what happened to them yesterday afternoon versus Minnesota, when the Twins came up with 8 in the 7th inning after the game was tied 1-1. Pretty good duel between Brian Bannister and Carl Pavano for the first 6 innings.
Well, what an inning for Michael Kadire. I mean, he hit 2 home runs in the same inning. It's pretty impressive, and it's something you just don't see very much in baseball.
First player in Twins history to have 2 home runs in 1 inning. Slice towards the line. Shin Soo Choo is there. Now the Royals come up with 4. Tian drives in the Royals' first run. John Buck drives in 2 with a double. Betancourt's sac fly gives the Royals the lead. And then crashing into the wall on Valbuena's drive in the 4th. Coors Light Freeze Can brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. And then at the plate for Mitch Meyer, laying down a nice sac bunt helping set up the Royals' go-ahead run in a 4-run fifth. So Gil Mesh with the lead into the 6th inning. Fools Shin-Soo Choo badly. 1 ball, 1 strike. Choo singled and scored on the Travis Hafner 3-run home run of the 4th. He is 1 for 2. And the Indians on several occasions tonight showing bunt. Seen Sizemore do it, Cabrera, now Choo. Drilled to deep left center. It's slicing back towards DeJesus, and David can't quite run it down, and now it bounces away from him. Choo wants a triple, and he's going to get it. So the Indians come right back with a runner at third base and nobody out.
Say, right, he really had to get on this ball. Left-handed hitter, the deep part of left center field. This ball just right at the base of the wall. And Choo showed his running speed. I mean, he just went around second base. He knew he was going to get 3 on that one. Not exactly what the Royals were looking for after coming back and taking the lead in the ball game.
So Choo at third, and now Johnny Peralta at the plate. Peralta doubled leading off the 2nd inning, then was thrown out at the plate by Meyer. And he struck out in the 4th inning. 1 of 2 strikeouts for Gil Mesh tonight. One ball, 1 strike. Here's the strikeout of Peralta back in the 4th. Tonight's Arby's pitch by pitch.
Gil just running that fastball up. It wasn't a good fastball, Ryan. Just running, got away from him. I think that was the best pitch, his curveball and his cutter, to get that strikeout.
Gil has also struck out as Drubal Cabrera. Both strikeouts called. Hit hard to Callaspo. Choo hesitated, and Callaspo gets the out at first. That ball was hit on a line, and you can see the frustration of Peralta after he crossed the bag and realized that Choo was still at third base. But I guess Choo had to make sure that ball wasn't caught on the fly.
Well, it was the line driving. Like you said, anything hit high or below, he's got to kind of freeze. You don't want to run into that out with nobody out. So what he has to do is before the pitch, he's got to look and see what these infielders are playing, and then sort of read the ball off the bat. So I'm like Peralta. That's an RBI he should have in the bank right there.
And Peralta flinging his helmet into the dugout. You know, that could be a case of, as we just talked about a couple of innings ago, of looking at your defense before the pitch is thrown and realizing that, if Callaspo's playing in or halfway as he is right now, that might be a line out. But when he's on the edge of the outfield grass, he's not going to catch that ball.
Yeah, and usually your third base coach will tell you, too. He'll say they're back at whatever positions they are, and you can go if it's hit to these guys. And so he has a warning early from the third base coach, and then you have to go by your eyes. So only play you probably don't want to go on the ball at third base and first base if it's in. But Callaspo really, he sort of attacked that one hopper, man, almost like he saw that play right away, and he was going straight to the plate.
Hafner has driven in 4 tonight. This will be his 2nd extra base hit. So a 3-run home run in the 4th. Run scoring double in the 6th, and we're tied at 4. Tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Kansas City Royals. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Well, a frustrating trend for the Royals during the Minnesota series now is kind of carried over into this series, and that is right when the Royals do something on offense, the opponent comes right back to score.
Well, that's when the pitchers really got to get tough right here. I mean, every ball this inning's been really hit hard. I mean, Hafner, this ball went all the way to the wall, line drive over shortstop, so that really means he really tattooed that ball, and the one hopper to Caspo and the triple by Chu, all those balls hit hard.
2 extra base hits in this inning, and the Royals are now working in the bullpen behind Mesh. 0-2 on Valbuena. It was flied out. That was on a great play by Meyer in the 4th inning and walked. Remember the Minnesota series, the Royals were down, tied the game in the bottom of the 9th. Minnesota came right back in the 10th to go ahead. And then on Saturday, the Twins kept trying to run away from the Royals. The Royals kept staying close, but Minnesota just kept scoring. And then, of course, yesterday's game, the Royals were down 1-0. They tie it at 1 in the bottom of the 6th, and then Minnesota comes back with 8. And as we've said before, there really is no situation where a team is okay with allowing runs, but if there's one situation where you feel like it's unacceptable, it's right after your team has done something on offense the previous half inning.
Well, I think that's been part of the problem this season with the Royals. They really just haven't been able to seize any type of momentum, and I think that goes from. So I would put momentum and confidence together. If you got the confidence that you can go out and get the job done, then you're going to seize these momentum changes and you're going to run with them, and the Royals just haven't been able to do that.
To Betancourt, so Hafner back to second. That's out number 2. A triple from Chu, and then with 1 out, Hafner gets him home. So Gill trying to get through 6, only able to go 5 innings in his first 2 starts back from the DL, both times allowing 4 runs. The Royals bullpen hanging on, and Gill winning both of those games 5-4 over Minnesota and Chicago. Ball 1 on Shopik, who has walked and flied into a double play.
Let's take a look at Gill here, Ryan, and see if he can get out over that front leg. Right now, just look like he's throwing against a pretty stiff front leg. He's not really getting down over it. He almost, after he lets the pitch go, it's almost like he's running a couple steps after the pitch rather than staying right there with it. One of the things that pitching coach Bob McClure is working on all spring and into this season, each start with Gill, is just making sure that he stays off of his heel and land on his toe and just try to create a better straight line to the target.
I've asked Bob McClure about Gil Mesh's lower back issues, and the Royals trying to figure out what is causing those back problems. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Shopik. And one thing that Mac brought up was, looking at that front foot again and how it's still somewhat closed when he lands. He doesn't open up and point it all the way. So there's some pretty good torque.
Well, you can see that how the left foot is still pointing a little bit toward their dugout versus right at the target. And I think that's why once he releases the pitch, you see that 1 or 2 steps that he takes in sort of running motion after the pitch because his hips are locked once he lets the ball go, and he's got to get over it some kind of way. And I think that's a good point, and that could cause some lower back problems.
Now, Mac also points out that it's that slightly closed front foot that torque that's created helps him with his breaking ball. But at the same time, what's the toll over the course of time?
Well, I think we're starting to see some of the toll. I mean, if they can't seem to get that figured out, then he doesn't want to go through the rest of his career fighting that particular issue. And, just reading in the paper this morning, that's the one issue that he wants to try to get resolved this offseason through his workouts or whatever it might be, so he doesn't have to face this next season.
And the easy response is, well, why do you have to wait till the off season? Well, if this is the way Gil's been pitching his whole life, it's not really something you can correct right now in August. It's something, if it indeed is the front foot, something he's going to probably have to work on all off season to break up that, that habit, that muscle memory.
Well, it's all a habit, Like you can tell when he gets it down, the ball really drives down, and like that last pitch.
Indians tie it at 4 in the 6th.
It's Rick Reed from Riverside, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run this inning, Rick will win $800. But if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Rick will win $25,000 from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
Well, the Royals have answered the Indians. The Indians have re-answered the Royals. And it'll be Billy Butler, Brian Pena, and Alberto Callaspo trying to turn the tables once again. Jeremy Sowers with 3 perfect innings to begin tonight and face the minimum through 4, but the Royals coming up with 4 in the bottom of the 5th. Billy is grounded into a double play and lined out to right field. Cabrera, difficult hop. Almost hit him in the lips. And throws out Billy, 1 away.
That just shows the guys that got good hands know how to get him out of the way. He did a real good job keeping his balance here, getting his head out of the way, and making a nice, easy throw over to first. Now, this is a pretty tough play. A lot of guys don't make that play. A lot of guys will be so busy trying to get out of the way that they say, oh, that ball took a bad hop. Base hit. Mm-hmm. But he did a real good job staying with that bad hop.
Well, it's that time of game, too, where there have been enough base runners where there's several footprints on the base paths where the dirt's been kicked around, and an infielder can only do so much ground work in front of him.
That's why turf was perfect. I really did enjoy playing on it. I really did. I think if I had to do it all over again, I'd do the same thing. Yeah, because I think turf is a real good measure of your speed, your quickness, your agility, and it really teaches you how to take care of yourself too, and to be ready to play. And I don't think I would change a thing.
Yeah, because I could see where there'd be 2 ways to look at it. Number one, you'd say, well, turf, you get true hops. You don't get any bad hops. But like you said, balls get through the infield quicker, though, on the turf.
A little bit faster. And you got to note the weather plays a big part when you're playing outdoors on turf. when it's cold, the cooler the weather, the more the ball stays down. The hotter the weather, the more springy the turf gets. So it just tells you the days that you have to charge the ball a little bit more. So it's a game that you play on turf, that within a game within a game, which I think is a lot of fun too. You can count your hops a lot better. You can pick your hops a lot better.
Right at Valbuena, who goes down to a knee, and that's the second time he has thrown out Brian Pena. Twice Brian's hit the ball hard right up the middle, but Valbuena is right there. So 2 down, and let's find Joel Goldberg.
Deal going on tomorrow night where fans can get tickets up here, view level, and also get a Wizards game later in the week. And I mentioned the Wizards because some of them were out here taking batting practice today, and I got to tell you that they certainly, while they don't usually use their hands in a soccer game, showed some skills. That a lot of them played baseball as kids. Also, a few of the Royals went out to Wizards practice this morning, 3 of them actually, Jamie Wright, Bruce Chen, and Billy Butler, and they got a chance to work out a little bit with the team and take some penalty kicks. The report that I heard was that Bruce Chen told me he scored a couple of goals on penalty kicks, and he was pretty proud of that. I heard Jamie Wright scored 1. Billy Butler, unfortunately, he didn't participate because he showed up in flip-flops. Jimmy Conrad, the star of the Wizards, said, I don't know if I'd call it soccer, but Billy was there in spirit, I guess.
He forgot where he was going.
Well, yeah, I mean, remember, in soccer you can't use your hands, but you need your feet. Probably you could have done it maybe barefooted.
You need your feet and a good hard head.
Good hard head. I see Billy as
Jamie's left-footed
and tall. I think Jamie might make a good goalie, actually. And Billy, I think, could be a decent defender, don't you think? Stopper. No comment on that.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'm just going to leave you with that one, Joel.
I'm looking out for him, thinking if he had brought some shoes. But Bruce was really proud of that. I said, well, soccer probably pretty big in Panama, right? And he said, no, actually, baseball's first, and then it's soccer and basketball. But he was happy that he got a couple of penalty kicks.
Fouled away by Alberto Callaspo. Joaquim Soria, growing up in Mexico, also played a lot of soccer, and he's sitting there talking to Bruce perhaps about that in the bullpen. And maybe you've heard the story before, but Joaquim's family had a large field on their property, and his parents couldn't decide what to do with the field, either make it a soccer field or a baseball field. But whatever field they decided on, that's what the kids were going to play. So that's how close Joaquim Soria came to being a soccer player rather than a baseball player, because his family decided to turn that field into a baseball field. Still 2-2 on Callaspo. Our next telecast in high definition will be tomorrow night. Game 2, Royals and the Indians, brought to you by Time Warner Cable, where HD is free with digital cable. And that's Zach Greinke against Justin Masterson. 3-2 on Callaspo. Backhanded by Cabrera. 3 ground ball outs for Sowers in a 1-2-3 6th inning. rewind. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Pretty night at Kauffman Stadium, tied at 4 as we go to the 7th inning, and Gil Mesh trying to give the Royals 7. He's thrown 86 pitches. He has been down 3-0. He's been ahead 4-3. Cleveland tied it in the 6th. And he's going to get an out on one pitch as Laporta hits it into shallow right center. So he's 1 for 3. And Laporta giving way to Andy Marte. We're going to tell you about Royals Alumni Fantasy Camp coming up February 1st through the 5th at the Royals Spring Training Facility in Surprise. Another great all-star lineup of coaches. Frank, George Brett, John Mayberry, Dennis Leonard, Willie Wilson, Jeff Montgomery, Steve Balboni, Brett Saberhagen. The fee includes hotel, all ground transportation. John Wathen will be there. 2 meals a day, 2 uniforms, 2 games a day. Plus you'll play a game against the former major leaguers. For more information, go to the Royals website or call 816-504-4150. Two and one on Andy Marte. Grounded into a double play in the 3rd inning, flied out to right. That was in the 5th. Butler to the camera bay, and it's 2-2. Not long ago, Andy Marte was billed as the next best thing coming out of the Braves organization. He was their #1 prospect in 2004. Traded to the Red Sox, then traded to the Indians. He's had some big years in the minor leagues. It just hasn't translated to much at the big league level. And I'm sure he had quite a wake-up call in spring training this year when he was taken off the Indians' 40-man roster, passed through waivers, and had to make his way back to the big leagues. And that is cranked to deep left field. De Jesus going to have to play it off the wall. So Marte with just his 2nd extra base hit at the big league level this year.
This Ryan, just a changeup right here, just stayed out over the plate, and he just let it come to him and used his hands and really turned on it. I'd say when you talk about guys who have all the upside in the world, and then all of a sudden you find yourself off the roster and you go through waivers, and I mean, that's a very humbling experience, and it just makes you reevaluate, exactly where you are in the game and what you have to do to get back. It makes you hungry, makes you want to fight a lot harder.
Especially the passing through waivers part. You figure, well, okay, this team doesn't want me, but I really believe in my abilities, and then come to find out 29 other teams pass on you.
Right, and in that situation there, you got one or two things. You can quit and give up, or you can battle back and show the promise that was shown in you when you were drafted. And when you go from one team to the next team to the next team, and you don't really bring that talent out, and all of a sudden they say, well, we've run this long enough, so let's just take him off the roster and let's put him through waivers, and nobody else looks at you. I'd say what your age is not really important at that point, because he's only as good as you are. So you got to go out there and raise your stock again, and fight your way back and show that talent that everybody else saw in you.
Here's Grady Sizemore for the 4th time tonight. 0 for 3 so far. Well, I'm not going to name any names, but I can think of a few Royals over the past 10 years who really felt like they weren't getting a good deal here in Kansas City and were in the minor leagues and were just waiting until they could get off the roster, maybe be a 6-year minor league free agent, and then come to find out there aren't 10 or 11 teams out there that would like to have you.
No, I tell you, you always got to be able to evaluate yourself. And I know a lot of times players have a tendency to want to listen to the agents and let the agents tell them how good they are, but the agent's really only as good as the player. So if you don't go out there and play, it's not a lot the agent can do for you. And I think you're right. That self-evaluation process is very hard.
That's out of play. 2-2 on Grady Sizemore. Bud Light Lime shows us what's on tap tomorrow night. Zach Greinke against Justin Masterson, who came over in the Victor Martinez trade with the Red Sox. And the Royals are on the road on the West Coast Thursday through Sunday at Seattle. And then a 3-game series at Oakland after that. And the next time the Royals are home will be the beginning of September. Grady Sizemore has been fighting a bad left elbow all season. He spent a good chunk of the season on the disabled list beginning with early June. And the elbow responded enough where he could come back, but if it didn't, he was going to have season-ending surgery, and he might still have surgery this upcoming offseason, and the Indians are confident that if he does that, he will be ready for 2010. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Sizemore has lost a couple of points on his average tonight, going 0 for 3. So he's down to 246. He was at 248, and that was the highest his average had been since early May. Shallow left field. DeJesus is there. 2 outs. Marte back to second base. Well, remember, you can stay connected to the game. If you're away from the Royals region and you'd like to follow the Royals, you can subscribe to MLB.tv. You'll also get 100 out-of-market games per week. You can catch games you missed on demand, and if you have a premium subscription, you can pause, fast forward, and rewind live games. You can get details about MLB.tv at Royals.com. Cabrera into center field. And Mitch Meyer brings it down. That's the inning. So Mesh gets around the 1-out double. goes 7 so far tonight. Panera takes us around the league, where Tampa Bay has beaten Toronto 12-7, getting 7 earned runs against Roy Halladay. Boston beating Chicago in the bottom of the 7th inning. Minnesota's in front of Baltimore. Angels and the Tigers just underway out on the West Coast. Good pitching matchup there. A couple of 13-game winners, and Oakland will be at Seattle. Tigers lead still at 2.5 in the Central Division. Seems like it's been that way for a month. Curveball for a strike to Mark Teahan, who struck out against Jeremy Sowers in the second. That made him 0 for 9 against Sowers. But then Mark singled, driving in a run and scoring in the 5th. Travis Hafner hit a 3-run home run for Cleveland in the 4th. And the Royals with 4 in the 5th inning, with Teahan, Buck, and Betancourt driving in runs. Buck driving in 2 with a double. But the Indians coming right back in the top of the 6th, and it was Hafner again. And his double driving in Shin-Soo Choo to tie the game at 4. Reaching out, shallow left field, that drops. So just trying to make contact with the count 1 and 2. Teahan has his second hit.
So this is one of those swings you don't want to go back and watch the video to see what you did right or wrong. But this is where everything is gone except for your hands. Everything else is in the Royals dugout. Your hands are still all over the plate. That's what you call very fortunate.
Yeah, if he would have fallen backward from that swing, he would have landed right on the bench. And now John Buck, who had a 2-run double in the 5th inning. Late on the fastball, 0-1.
So you see the difference in that swing and the swing that he used when he hit the double. When you have a guy who changes speeds like Sowers and pitches both sides, he loves it when guys swing like this because you really play into his hand.
That was a nice easy swing for John when he doubled to left center field. Royals have still not seen Sowers move to first base.
Well, if you really want to see it, what you have to do is just get what they call a one-way lead. You just get out there as far as you can get out there with the idea that as soon as he moves, you're going right back to first base. Then you get a pretty good idea what it looks like.
One ball, 2 strikes. Well, the Royals in the middle of their 3rd time through the order, and that's when the league has gotten to Jeremy Sowers. But it was the 2nd time through the order tonight that the Royals did their damage, getting 4 in the 5th inning. Still 1 and 2.
Rusty Kuntz just had a long talk with Mark Teahan at first base trying to pick something out on Sowers. But this is usually a pretty good pitch to go on. This is usually a breaking ball pitch. This pitch is usually down.
Shopik wants a fastball inside. And it was out over the plate, but Buck misses. Sowers strikes out his second.
That was just a contrast of 2 at bats where one you you slowed everything down with 2 strikes and use your hand to put the ball in play. There, he just stayed over aggressive all the way through. It didn't cut down, and he swung at a bad ball up and away.
So Sauer's next pitch will be number 100. On average this year, he's given the Indians about 5 2/3 per start and about 93 pitches. And Meyer laying down a bunt, but Peralta was on it in a hurry. So Meyer's out. He laid down a sac bunt in the 5th inning. And he moves Tien up to second base, 2 away.
Well, that's just bunting it a little bit too hard. You know, just got to get it out to like 2 or 3 steps on the grass, get Troy to enter the bat. But that was bunting more like if you got a man on second base and you're trying to get him to third and you want to force the third baseman to field. So just a little too hard by Mitch.
Yuniesky Betancourt gave the Royals a 4-3 lead with a sac fly in the 5th inning. Also flied out to right field. Indians have since tied the game. Royals did a little bit of everything in the 4-run 5th. First of all, they got a leadoff walk after Brian Pena had a good at-bat. And a single, and another single, driving in a run. Then they got the extra base hit that they wanted. And a 2-run double from Buck, and then Buck was at second base with nobody out. Meyer lays down a bunt, Betancourt a sac fly. 2 balls, no strikes. Two and one. Four runs tonight would be considered very good run support for Jeremy Sauers. He had lost his last 2 starts, but the Indians scored 1 run total in those 2 starts. They've given him 4 tonight. And now he's trying to give them 7 innings. Off the glove of Cabrera, and that's going to help the Royals take the lead. So Betancourt drives in his 2nd of the game. It's 5-4 Royals.
Well, this is a good swing here. Cabrera did everything he could to try to keep this ball on the infield, but it was hit too hard to his right. And he couldn't cut it off, and Mark Tien was able to score.
You know, we don't know a whole lot about Matt Laporta's arm, Frank, but that ball is hit hard enough where that thing is hit right at Laporta if it doesn't hit Cabrera's glove, and he has a shot to make a throw to the plate.
Well, Dave Owens would have had a big decision to make on that play because it was a 1-hopper right through the infield, and Cabrera slowed it down just enough and made it change direction. But it would have been interesting.
And it's the first time he's thrown over to first base. And Betancourt in a rundown, tagged out by Cabrera. So Pot stealing 1-3-6. Inning is over, but Betancourt's single puts the Royals in front. 3-run home run early in the game. The Royals coming up with 4 runs in the 5th. Indians tied it. Royals regaining the lead in the 7th on Betancourt's second RBI. And Gil Mesh, with his longest outing since that shutout against Arizona on June the 16th. He goes 7 innings. He's the pitcher of record. And with the Royals ahead by 1 going into the 8th inning, it'll be Joakim Soria. Gil Mesh had gone through his warm-up tosses. So as Martin crossed home plate in the bottom of the 7th inning, giving the Royals the lead, the call went out to the bullpen to get Soria loosened up, and perhaps wasn't quite ready to come into the game, so Mesh goes out there to buy some more time. And right as Shin-Soo Choo was being announced into the game, that's when Trey Hillman came out. Kansas City have joined together to encourage young people not to smoke, because once you start, it's hard to stop. Strike out tobacco so we can all breathe. Call the Missouri Tobacco Quit line at 1-800-QUIT-NOW. I see Mike Aviles over there joking with Gil Mesh. Good to see Mike back in a Royals uniform after going through the Tommy John surgery on his right elbow. So Mike able to do almost all physical activities now. Still not able to throw or take a swing, but on his way back. Strike 1 from Joakim Soria to Shin-Soo Choo. 2 hits tonight, 2 runs scored. One and one. One ball, 2 strikes. Last time Soria faced the Indians was that Seagull game, and the Royals had a 3-1 lead in the 8th inning. And Soria taking a blown save in the bottom of the 9th. And then Choo winning in the 10th with a base hit off of Kyle Farnsworth. Betancourt throws out Shin-Soo Choo, 1 down in the 8th inning. Shin-Soo Choo had 1 hit the entire series, and he waited until the 10th inning of Game 3.
Well, this is a play here where Coco really had a good jump on it and really thought he might have had a chance to throw the run out at the plate, but when he hit the bird in the back and diverted off to his left, he had no chance. You know, I really kind of expected to see the bird still laying out there, but I'm glad it was able to get up and fly away.
Those birds, by the way, hung around Jacobs Field for quite a while after that series, and they really couldn't figure out why there were so many birds and why they decided to make Jacobs Field their home. And the solution finally was to start setting off fireworks. Apparently those birds do not like fireworks, and so after every half inning they would shoot off some fireworks from a parking garage out in center field, and that would cause the birds to scatter, and they did that for a few games, and no more birds.
Well, I know every night it seemed like there was more birds every night, and the poor fans in the upper deck, they were running those fans out of their seats.
That's Peralta's second hit tonight, so 1 on 1 out in the 8th inning. So they'd watch the game for about 6 or 7 innings, and then as the fans started to leave, then they'd come in for the leftover popcorn and the peanut shells, hot dog buns.
Well, I guess on the field where the players dropping sunflower seeds, or
yeah,
they were taking over center field. Every day, just like it was only a matter of time, I think, before something like that was going to happen.
That particular night, they were going over a possible trade of Victor Martinez.
Second bird in, shaking his head really bad. No, don't do that.
Yeah, if you can read beaks, you could tell that they were not in favor of that trade. We're going to get a pinch runner now as Jamie Carroll comes running behind Travis Hafner and will run for Peralta. He represents the tying run. And now Soria has to deal with Travis Hafner, who has driven in all 4 runs for the Indians. Hit a 3-run home run on a 3-0 pitch against Gil Mesh in the 4th, and doubled home a 4th run in the 6th. Hafner is 1 for 7 against Soria. Grounds it to the left side. This is a tough play, and Tian will not throw. So Hafner beats the shift. With everyone pulled over to the right, there was nobody on the left side. So 2 on, 1 out.
Well, Sawyer makes a good pitch here, Ryan, and Hafner hits his ball right on the end of the bat. I mean, he just squirted right off the end of the bat, but that's overplay in the shift, and the Royals got burned on that overplay that time.
So Hafner with a 3-hit game. Tian back to his normal spot as Luis Valbuena steps in. Strike 1 from Soria. Well, for most of the year, the Royals did not want to give Soria 2 full innings. They would give Soria 4 outs. 5, they didn't really want to go there. 6 was definitely out of the question. But with the Royals trying to end a long losing streak, which was at 10 games, Trey Hillman and Bob McClure went to Joaquim and said, hey, we need to win a game here. Do you think you could stretch out for 2 innings? Remember, Soria has been on the disabled list with a shoulder injury, and Valbuena launches it to deep right field, and that is just over the fence and gone. Willie Bloomquist landing awkwardly on the warning track as the Indians have their second 3-run home run of the night, and Soria has his second blown save against the Indians.
Well, this is a fastball. He wanted it on the outside corner. He left it down and in, and Valbuena didn't miss it. That's automatic turn zone for left-handed hitters, and that's what you call missing a spot by quite a bit. And Willie went up as high as he could to try to snag this, but ended up banging his leg on the wall.
And now a strike on Kelly Shopik. It's a 5th home run given up by Joaquim this year. So Gil Mesh could not win the game tonight. Well, we were talking about earlier when we were referencing the Valbuena Miguel Olivo collision when the Indians were here earlier this year, and how he's not a big guy. He's 5'10". Now he's thick. He's 195 pounds, but he certainly plays the game a lot bigger than 5'10". That was his 8th home run this year. Just a couple of games ago, he had a walk-off home run in Cleveland for a victory over the Mariners.
Well, he showed a lot of bat speed. That fastball was 95 miles an hour, but it was down and in, and that's a good spot for left-handed hitters. And Sawyer normally doesn't miss his spots by that much.
So now the Royals' bullpen problems have reached Joaquim Soria. Still 2-2 on Shopik. It's only the third blown save for Joakim Soria all year, and 2 of them against the Indians. If it comes down, Willie Bloomquist wants it. 2 away. So Shopik 0 for 3, and that brings up Matt Laporta. It also brings Trey Hillman out of the dugout. So rather than run Soria into the ground tonight, save him so he might be available for the rest of the series. And Jamie Wright comes on with 2 down. Football with more customizable features and new ways to play. Log on to foxsports.com on MSN and join the next generation of fantasy football. I don't know if this had anything to do with Joakim Soria's inning. With 1 out, he gave up 2 singles and then a 3-run home run. But remember, it didn't appear that he had a whole lot of time to get ready to come into the game. Gilmesh went out for the top of the 8th inning and started his warm-up tosses, and then the move was made to bring in Soria. And closers, in some ways, Frank, are similar to starters in that they have some time to get themselves mentally prepared. I mean, you rarely see a closer get up very quickly. They know there's a certain point in the game that they get on the mound and they can kind of take their time to warm up. It's not very often that a closer has to get warmed up quickly.
Well, I recall you saying Soria jumped up soon as T and scored, and Mesh only had 104 pitches. So when I saw him go back out, I thought he was going to actually pitch that 8th inning. But like you said, closers are mental people. I mean, it's like, okay, this is my time. I need the time to get myself mentally prepared for this situation, and 2 out saves, 2 inning saves with 1 run to protect is kind of risky.
Well, it backfires tonight as the Indians take a 2-run lead into the bottom of the 8th inning. This is the Royals' first look at him. Originally from the Cardinals organization, and he, along with Chris Perez, coming over to the Indians in the trade that sent Mark DeRosa to St. Louis. Jess Todd, a former second-round pick of the Cardinals back in '07 out of the University of Arkansas. It'll be the top of the order for the Royals and the bottom of the 8th. David DeJesus, Willie Bloomquist, and Billy Butler. So Jeremy Sowers goes 7 innings, gives up 6 hits and 5 runs. And just last inning, we were talking about how Sowers had lost his last 2 starts, but the Indians scored just 1 run. 1 run total in those 2 starts. Tonight they give him 7. David has walked, singled, and grounded out. One ball, 1 strike. Jess Todd last year was the Cardinals' minor league pitcher of the year. He is one of those guys that obviously has the arm to be drafted as high as he was, but might frighten some organizations because he's not very big. He's listed under 6 foot and doesn't have a very fluid delivery, so durability might be an issue. Kind of a maximum effort delivery. 2-2 on DeJesus. But then again, there are guys who are tall, in good shape, and have a very fluid delivery and end up having all kinds of arm troubles.
Well, they say everything looks good until he throws. It's all about getting people out, and it's all about throwing strikes.
Jesus fouling that one off of his leg.
Like a good tight cutter inside, and he fell right up that right inside of that knee. That one had a tight spin to it. You can see the little dot right in the middle.
That was a good shot. You know, you and I have talked often about being able to pick up a slider because there's a red dot. That's what the hitter sees. Well, we're able to see that red dot from the pitcher's point of view. So apparently that dot is on both sides of the ball. It's hard to describe, but because of the rotation of the baseball, watch the ball. It almost creates, see how that dot? That's what the hitter sees on the other side of the ball. Over the mound, over the bag, and into center field.
Now, usually after a hitter fouls one off their knee like that, you come back with another pitch similar, but they went away outside over the middle of the plate with a fastball, and David just stayed right through there and hit it right up the middle. That had to hurt a lot.
I'll bet it's still hurting. 3rd straight game that David DeJesus has had more than 1 hit. Bloomquist 0 for 3, 3 flyouts. Ball 1. Willie had hit in 8 straight games coming into tonight, getting his average back up to 260. One and one. The Indians have had big bullpen problems this year. They have only saved 19 games all year. Kerry Wood is their closer. He has 15 saves. He had a blown save here at Kauffman Stadium early in the year when the Royals scored 4 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning. And then the very next night, they almost did it to him again, but he was able to get out of it. And the Indians making all of those trades. It all began on June the 24th when they traded Mark DeRosa to the Cardinals, trading away some rather big names. Shallow right field. Chu can't make the play. First and second, nobody out. So Willie has hit in 9 straight games.
Well, he gets this is another cutter right off the end of the bat, and Chu was actually playing quite shallow for Willie in right field. He had a real good shot at catching this ball, and all David could do was just stay there and see what happens. He was caught in no man's land right there.
And now Billy Butler to the plate. Billy is hitless so far. Now the Indians trading away Mark DeRosa, Rafael Betancourt, Ryan Garco, Cliff Lee, Ben Francisco, Victor Martinez, Carl Pavano. And in all those trades, they got 9 pitchers.
That's a good place to start.
That ball gets away from Shopik. So Billy swings and misses, but both runners move up. That ball sounded like it got some glove on its way to the screen.
That's that real good cutter, and it went down and really went right through Shopik's legs. See a little tight dot on that cutter. I mean, he just threw the right ball right back through his leg. It got through his legs before he could get down and block it.
The pass ball charged to Shopik, and an expensive pass ball. Nobody out. Now they're going to change it to a wild pitch. Royals are going to get a run. So DeJesus to the plate. Butler drives in his 66th. And Bloomquist at second base, 1 out. And now Brian Pena bats from the left side for the first time tonight, 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. Brian, the hero for the Royals, at least for an inning on Friday night against Minnesota with a 9th inning home run against Joe Nathan. Royals ended up losing that game. Got underneath it. I think he got the pitch that he wanted, but didn't square it up. Chu brings it down. Bloomquist holds at second base. And now Alberto Callaspo. .296 overall, runners in scoring position. He's hitting .315. Bloomquist, the tying runner at second base with 2 outs. Hit to deep right field. Chu on the run. He's got it. So he didn't get a good break on Bloomquist bloop, but he got a great break on Callaspo's drive to deep right. Royals get one. Run fifth. After the game, it's Boulevard Royals Live from that spot. Rival Sports Bar out in right field with Joel, Jamie, and Split. All the highlights and analysis brought to you by Boulevard Brewing Company, Kansas City's beer. And Andy Marte with his second hit tonight on the first pitch from Jamie Wright. Travis Hafner and Luis Valbuena with 3-run home runs tonight. Hafner also has an RBI double, so 2 hitters have driven in 7. Royals have been down 3-0. They've had a 4-3 lead and a 5-4 lead, and trail by 1 in the 9th. And here's Grady Sizemore, who is hitless in 4 at-bats. Told you earlier, Sizemore only has no bunt base hits this year. He tried to lay one down. He has 2 sacrifice bunts, not bunting here. 1 ball, no strikes. So in a 1-run game in the 9th inning, Eric Wedge thinking more about a big inning, and Sizemore has 17 home runs and 40 total extra base hits. 2 balls, no strikes.
Yeah, Jamie doesn't want this inning to get out of hand, Ryan. So he's got to get something over the plate, get his sinker over the plate. It's running right out of his hands to the outer half of the plate, not even attempting. So here he needs to get that sinker over the plate, try to get him a ground ball.
3-0.
And they really hate to be in this count. You know, with Sizemore, he's got 3 shots at you now, so you've got to come to him and give him what he wants. So you didn't want to get to 3-0.
So a single and a 4-pitch walk. And that brings Trey Hillman out of the dugout. So John Bale to face Cabrera. On Bale. The third annual Viva Los Royals is Saturday, September the 5th, presented by Sprint. You'll enjoy live pregame entertainment with music from War, local favorite Las Estrellas, and appearances from Angelica Vale and singer Rick Trevino. So a lot of artists here that night. Festivities begin at 4 p.m. The first 20,000 fans through the gates receive a Royals barbecue apron. So all that with the Royals and Angels on Saturday, September 6th at 6:10. Royals are ready for a bunt with Asdrubal Cabrera at the plate. John Bale moving him over to the right side of the plate. And bunting it down by his feet.
You know, on this bunt play here, where the shortstop leaves early, usually you tell your hitter if the shortstop leaves early, they go ahead and swing. Well, the Royals ran what they call a wheel play here, and Billy's going to charge, Tien's going to charge, Badcock goes to third, but he leaves early. So the hitters are told in that situation that you can swing the bat, but try to hit the ball hard on the ground.
Cabrera has 9 sack bunts this year, and this time he is swinging away with the wheel play on, and he hits it fair into the corner. One runner is home. Here comes Sizemore around third, and it's a 2-run double for Cabrera. Well, do you want to show the hitter the same play 2 pitches in a row, knowing that if he saw it the first time, he might change his approach the second time?
Well, you want to try to get the bunt. One thing that Bedcourt does this time, he starts, but he stops. So you really enticed him to really swing the bat there, and that's what they're taught to do. If that shortstop breaks early, then you're taught to try to hit the ball hard on the ground in the shortstop hole. So when Bedcourt broke the third, Cabrera saw him, and he drew back and he stopped. But you enticed him to swing, and that's the big thing. You either got to decide whether you want him to bunt the ball or swing the bat, and they sort of enticed him to swing the bat in that situation. And that's what they call a wheel play, and that's you usually don't use that a lot.
Two hits, 2 runs scored for Shin-Soo Choo. Up the left field line. That's fair. DeJesus plays it to second to keep Chu at first. So 2 bloops up the left field line. Still nobody out.
David just about got too close to this one. Ryan, this ball had a lot of spin on it. It's going to go to the foul side, and he did a good job there, recognizing the run wasn't going to score, but throwing the ball to second base and keeping the double play in order.
So 2 runners home and 2 on. The first 4 have reached in the Indians' 9th inning. Jamie Carroll bats for the first time, ran for Johnny Peralta in the 8th, and scored on the Valbuena home run. Jamie Carroll, a very good bunter. This could be one of those safety squeeze situations where he tries to bunt for a base hit. Well, down to the count, no balls, 2 strikes. It's up to the runner at third to judge how good the bunt is, whether he scores or not. But worst case scenario, the runner from first moves up into scoring position, but that's unlikely now at the count 0-2.
It's always a good play. Joe Girardi was pretty good at that with the Yankees. When he was with the Yankees, they run that safety squeeze pretty much every time the runner was on third.
I mentioned that scenario quite a bit, and I don't think we've seen it once. So maybe you can pick up that I like that play.
Well, it's not a bad play because you don't have to burn your runner at third base. If it's a squeeze play and he bunts and misses, or they guess right, then you don't lose your runner.
Frank, maybe I just have to come to grips with the fact that the bunt play is slowly but surely making its way to the endangered species list. Pretty soon you're going to see the sacrifice and squeeze bunt right next to the spotted owl and the saber-toothed tiger.
Maybe in that case. In the squeeze bunt, yeah, for sure.
Chance for 2. Indians are going to get another run, and the Royals turn the double play, so no RBI for Carroll, but the Indians aren't concerned with that. They get a 3rd run. And now lead by 4 in the 9th inning. Third double play turned by the Royals tonight. And that brings up Travis Hafner. He has driven in 4, including a 3-run home run. Three Indians tonight have driven in 9 of the 10 runs. Hafner has 4, Valbuena has 3, Cabrera has 2. One ball, 2 strikes. The Royals went into the top of the 8th inning with a 5-4 lead. And Joakim Soria called on for a 6-out save, gave up a 3-run home run in the 8th, didn't finish the inning. Royals got a run back in the bottom of the 8th, and now 3 more in the 9th. Hafner strikes out, and that's the inning. So Cleveland leads by 4 to the bottom of the 9th. Over in the bottom of the ninth inning tonight, back on May the 19th, Royals were down by 3 in the bottom of the ninth inning and scored 4. Mike Jacobs, Mark Teahan, back-to-back home runs. Willie Bloomquist with a sac fly. And the Royals, with their most exciting come-from-behind win and beating Kerry Wood, it takes a 4-run lead in the bottom of the ninth tonight. And Mark Teahan will be one of the hitters he faces, followed by John Buck and Mitch Meyer. 5 blown saves for Kerry Wood and 20 opportunities. Teahan 2 hits tonight, 2 runs scored. He has driven in a run. The very next night, the Royals were down by 1. They had the bases loaded with 1 out. Kerry Wood walked the bases loaded. It looked like the Royals were going to get to him again, but Kerry Wood had the answer that night, striking out Teahan and then David DeJesus to end the game. Two balls, 1 strike. Running it up there, 96, 97 miles an hour, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And puts that hard slider right behind it. And that's that fastball right there, Ryan, that just sort of climbed to just get a lot of late life up in the zone.
On the corner at 97. 1 down in the bottom of the ninth. Kerry Wood has stayed healthy this year. Spent some time on the disabled list last year, his final year with the Cubs. That was the 12th time he had been on the disabled list. 5 times because of problems with his shoulder. He's also had Tommy John surgery on his elbow. Almost hit John Buck.
Kerry Wood, Ryan, is one of the few pitchers who keep 1 finger outside of his glove. Normally a pitcher would keep all 5 of his fingers inside the glove, but he keeps his finger right outside that glove.
And I've heard of some pitchers who, they don't realize it, but they tip their pitches. That for whatever reason, the index finger on the glove hand is used as kind of a pressure point. Sometimes the finger will stick up when he's throwing a fastball, or he has the finger bent if it's a breaking ball, and smart coaches and hitters will pick that up.
Well, they will, and you just got to be real consistent with what he does. But you always kind of worry about balls back through the mound and just kind of get up over your glove and maybe hit the tip of your finger, things like that. So, both points are real valid, the tipping of pitches and also the injury factor.
3-1 to John Buck. Now, earlier this season, Mark Pryor, who had all kinds of arm troubles, was released by the San Diego Padres. And man, the Cubs thought they had a 1-2 punch for a long, long time with Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood. Still 3 balls, 2 strikes. Kerry Wood back in 2003 led the majors in strikeouts. He had 266, and Mark Pryor was right behind him with 245. But that was really the only sensational year that the Cubs got out of those 2 guys the same year.
They both had injury problems. Right after that, a year wouldn't go by where both guys weren't on the DL for some reason.
So Buck walks with 1 out. And that brings Mitch Meyer to the plate. Mitch 0 for 2 did lay down a sac bunt in the 5th inning, right in the middle of the Royals' biggest inning, a 4-run 5th. Indians led 3-0 into the bottom of the 5th, and the Royals scored 4 to lead by 1. Indians tied it in the 6th. Royals went back out in front in the 7th. So it's 5-4 Royals in the 8th. Joaquim Soria called on for a 2-inning save, but gave up a 3-run home run to Luis Valbuena. And the Indians adding 3 more in the 9th against Jamie Wright and John Bale. Hit hard and almost through Marte.
Wow. I mean, that ball was smoked, and this ball, it was just hooking back a little bit too. And he went. If you overrun this ball, you just created some problems for yourself. So he saw this ball and made a real nice play on this, Brian.
Who caught what? Did Marte catch that ball, or did that ball catch Marte?
It worked, and that's all he's worried about. But I tell you what, that's not one he wants hit at very often.
Ball 1 on Unievsky Betancourt, who has driven in 2 runs tonight.
I say an over-aggressive base runner at first base might have had a problem with that line drive.
Two and 0. Both teams got 7 innings out of their starters. Gil Mesh gave up 4 in 7 innings. He'll take a no decision. Sowers gave up 5 runs in 7 innings. And Kerry Wood trying to hold that for Sowers for his 5th win. Not a save situation, obviously. Into center field. Royals still breathing in the 9th. They need to get one more batter to the plate. Two hits for David DeJesus tonight. And he's walked, so on base 3 times, and now Mike Jacobs has replaced Willie Bloomquist in the on-deck circle. So David up to 273. Ball 1 outside. Against Kerry Wood, David is 2 for 5. One of those hits a home run on the inside corner.
That fastball's really got a lot of life to it. It started inside and moved back over the inside corner.
Two and 1. David has driven in 59 runs this year, 10 of those against the Indians, the team that he grew up rooting for. Not because he lived in Cleveland, he grew up in New Jersey, but his favorite player was Kenny Lofton, who played for the Indians. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and David really trying to work Kerry Wood and give Mike Jacobs a chance to come to the plate. Really haven't seen Kerry Wood's good curveball yet. He's pretty much with a 4-run lead, just coming at the Royals with his fastball. Still 2 and 2.
Yeah, kind of a little cutter right there on that fastball. Just try to get in on David's hands, get underneath his bat.
Full count. So Buck at second base, Betancourt at first will be running. The Royals need one more base runner for a chance.
It just made David a better hitter for that fastball. He hadn't thrown any breaking balls, and chances are him throwing it right now are probably going to be pretty slim. But if he's going to give up anything, it'll be on this fastball. And David has been known to turn on the good fastballs in this situation.
And he lifts it to left field. Laporta is there. And the ball game is over. So the Cleveland Indians, with 3 runs in the 8th off of Joakim Soria, 3 more in the 9th. And they